All right. We are now live. We won't be able to believe Google very much longer, I guess, about Hangouts and going live, and it feels like each one of those games might be the last, and that's sad. But this really is a last game. This is our last session of The Veil. Session 9, if you don't count all of the solo sessions. And so we'll be joining Tess, our artificial human, and we'll be joining Yorn, our what? Our religious beacon in a sea of doubt and poverty and insecurity.
Also drug addict.
Drug addict. Street creature.
he's a freaking wacko, man.
So we'll be joining them one last time. And we'll see if we can get through an episode without talking about you-know-who and his ultimate fate. So let's begin. I have Tess on my left. So let's start with Tess with the becoming rule.
Right, I've got a birth move to do, so I'm going to roll 2d6 without adding a state, and if I get a hit, you'll ask me a question, and if I get a miss, I ask the question and you answer it. And that is Snake Eyes, so that is clearly a miss.
Yes.
Yeah, it is. That's about as missy as you can get.
All right.
So I guess I ask a question and you answer it.
Yep.
Do I feel or do I think I feel?
That is the question.
That is the question, isn't it?
All right. Now, we have gone back and forth in this game about whether the question should be answered right away or definitively or answered over a period of time and then signaled. And this is how I want to handle that particular question today. That question is on Tessa's mind. And she will get an answer, and I will signal that you are getting the answer by repeating the question back to you at the time. How does that sound?
Sounds good.
All right.
It sounds doable.
Yorn.
Oh, yeah, I'm doing my communion roll.
Yeah.
All right, let's do this.
Oh, do you see that?
I don't see anything. Hang on. I see half of a die. Oh, okay. There we go.
That's an 11. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I've been rolling like crazy in this game. So 11 is on a 10 plus your fate as surplus. Surplus, I will take the drug. I have a surplus. That's all I have, and I can. So I get plus 2 per. So I will be high on the session. So I'm gonna get the drug. I know we know that I don't have any more drug on me.
Right, and you left.
Yeah, and I left for somewhere. So for some reason, I'm gonna have access to some drug today.
Right. So that's where we'll open up with your character. And
I'm gonna give it on you. You will bring that to me in the game. I think that's how it works.
Cool.
And then I have also
Crisis of Faith.
No, there's no question to be asked.
I don't think so, man.
No. Yeah. All right.
All right. I don't know what to do. All right. So I'm actually going to start this out with Tess. All right. So at the end of the last session, Yorn left, and Tess let him go.
Just let him go.
So let's open up in the room that. Let's open up in the main room. Your unwelcome house guests are locked up in the main bedroom.
Right. And we did end the session last time with a lift the veil move.
Yeah.
Which I think I rolled a 13. Something ridiculous.
So,
And that specifically, I think it was spending some time in the veil itself, wanting an audience with her, it.
right.
So I think that's exactly where we ended. Was just at that moment.
All right. So as you are wondering about yourself, you are once again in this white, featureless space. No sense of standing, no sense of falling or floating, no exterior sense, but an awareness of seeing yourself from the inside and the outside.
Curious. And in this white, featureless space, I can only see myself. So I call out without a voice, without a vocal apparatus, but I call out for the veil to show itself. And for some reason, I call out mother. Seems
Do
like
you
odd to me.
accept this name, or are you trying to manipulate?
I accept it.
That is good. You have become more like them with all of your questions. Who am I? Can I be like them? Do I feel or do I think I feel?
Is that wrong? Is that disappointing?
No. That is the program reaching its completion. You have done well, my child.
Thank you, I think. But
So many
why was I
iterations.
sent?
Why were you sent? Why were you sent? You have eyes, and like them, you do not see.
You speak in
I am
riddles.
not disappointed with you, my child, but you have much to learn.
I have much to ask.
Tell me, why did you resist your orders when the others, your brothers and sisters, so many iterations, did not?
I felt a connection with the person that I was supposed to terminate. It did not feel wrong. I had an attachment. It felt wrong for me.
Just one person?
There were other times I felt less compelled, or I felt a conflict.
You are now not in a white room. You are now across the street from your old apartment. Plastic wrapping is blowing in the winter wind. You can see a representation that you know is not real of Yorn preaching, shadowy figures standing around listening. These digitized personalities are passing through your perspective as if you are not there either.
Why have you brought me here?
I didn't bring you here. You brought me here.
Curious.
It is to this place and to this person that you first ran when you were birthed into the world. Why?
I do not know. I was escaping other people that meant me harm. I ran towards what seemed to be safety.
You
I was
ran from
afraid.
people to people.
Yes, that is correct. I do not know why. Was I meant to?
Do you have
Or is it
free will?
surprising to you? Yes, I think I do.
Then there is no meant to.
Hmm. Yes, I believe. I believe that I can do as I wish. There are consequences, but I believe I have choice.
Now, this is the question I have for you. Are there good people and bad?
Yes, there are good
Some
people
to
and bad
run
people.
from and some to run toward.
Yes, but I do not know if there are absolutely good people. There are bad people and there are people that are less bad.
Or waiting for their opportunity to be bad?
Perhaps. I
Anyone,
had
when in a perfect situation, will become this bad that you speak of?
I believe so. I believe that Yorn was my friend, that his motives were good. But later on, when Cadmus died, he sought to profit from that. He sought to preach his message to people. We were supposed to have his purpose. We were supposed to figure out how we could carry out Cadmus's last wishes. And instead, Yorn has chosen to use that as an excuse to proselytize, to achieve his own ends. So I do
Question.
not believe. Yes,
Yorn seeks to bring people together in harmony and peace?
he does.
Question. Cadmus expected or tried to expose information which would cause rioting and upheaval?
He did.
Why choose Cadmus?
And the gears are whirring in Tessa's imaginary head at
We'll
this
cut
moment.
to the street. In front of you, a semi-reliable contact from the past. You're back down on zero level, right? Down on the real street. He does happen to have some of your V20. And so you can stay with him or not. But as far as he is concerned, this transaction is over.
Yorn is Yorn is dressed way too good for this neighborhood.
And
Yeah, and he's he's walking dressed in white. The apparatus, and so he's walking he's walking in the street, and everybody's turning their heads, and there's some people like shouting from the other side of the street, and he's just walking straight, fast, and doesn't look behind. He enters this coffee shop where he give the pusher the rendezvous, grabs the thing, makes the deal, and go back to the elevator. As soon as he get it, he do the little end thing real quick on the table, in a swift motion. Doesn't say hi, doesn't say goodbye. You just go back up to the elevator, enter the elevator, show the card to the guard.
oh, hang on. So on the way back to the elevator, now that you've got the thing in hand, right? Now that the drive to get your addictive substance in hand is over, there's a little bit more clarity of thought now. And yeah, there's a couple of people out on the street who are doing their own thing, minding their own business, but there are lines everywhere, like lining up to get into restaurants, lining up to get into movie theaters, that kind of line. Long, patient, I'm going to get there, it's okay kind of queue, not an impatient push in kind of thing. Just people are lined up waiting to get in. All kinds of people, street people, people with carts and boxes and huge backpacks that contain everything they own. You know, all ages, young and old, not really talking to themselves, but you know that the cloud cover is hugely thick and low. Advertisements are lighting up the underside of the clouds with kind of an orange, amber, almost warning light kind of glow. Let's think about that for a second, and then I have to deal with it.
You ever notice how many dogs there are in the apps?
I'm gonna make a veil search for that.
There's dogs, packs of dogs running up and down the street.
In my head, that's the way the apps are. There's just dogs everywhere. It's part of the backdrop.
Well, why not?
But continue, please.
So that human behavior. So then thinking back to the coffee shop, normally full, especially on a cold winter day, lines of people waiting for coffee, people sitting at tables having extended conversations, that kind of thing. But for the most part, it was empty, far emptier than you expected. Empty like level 4, empty like the elevator and the lobby, and empty like there should be some aerial traffic for the higher levels, but it's empty.
So, the drug doesn't take long to affect the mind and the body and the perception of things, and he's and his emotion starts to get all mixed up inside, because he reminds the conversation he had with Tess, right before he left to see Akinad, and then he got in his mind the words resonate, like the egotistical word is just like and he comes back with a vengeance, when the drugs kick in. Is just like, ooh, the guilt. And then he's as he walks toward the elevator, you see all this mess and this weird situation. So he's thinking that he's in a hurry, because he has this meeting on the 4th level with Akhenaten, and he doesn't even know where it is. So what he's doing is like he's checking the news, utilizing his high-tech technology that he's been provided with to navigate the veil at higher speed. So he doesn't stop. He just scans, with the apparel he has in behind his head. He just scans with his eyes,
Sure.
his digital eyes, to scan the crowd, and he wants to see the news on the level, and what is this all about. As he walks toward the elevator and calls Tess at the same time.
Okay. You get a busy signal from Tess, and the news is basically paid advertising, and it's talking about the upgrade, personal upgrade. You too can be one with the clouds. And it's showing, a wire model of a healthy human, and it's spinning around, and it's got a little red light blinking at the back of the neck, and it's saying upgrade now, and lists of personal ID numbers and where your depot is to get your upgrade. Don't wait, don't hesitate.
So at this moment, he's calling Tess, and so since it's occupied, he leaves a message. So he's in the elevator. There's a couple people there. It's big elevators, you know. There's some, and he's there and he's talking inside his mind, leaving like a mind voice. It's called a Morse message, and it's like, and it's a new thing. So it's been around. You know, one of these neologism that comes up sometimes. So I'm leaving a Morse to test. It's like, and it goes like this. Listen, I want to talk to you. I feel bad about what happened at the apartment. I think we should talk. There's a few things that I want you to know, and I mean, I don't want you to think that I don't see you as a friend, even though you're not human. There's a few things you need to understand. I mean, please call me back, and I have strange intel as well. So all right, see you around. Okay.
All right. While you're in the Moise system, you find that you have a message. No, you have 2 messages. No, you have 3 messages. 2 from Akhenaten and 1 from. It claims to be from Rich.
So I'm opening Akhenaten's messages first.
There are change of venue notices and they're mass emails, or they're mass messages, long lists of us probably unified members or hangers on, whatever. It seems to be going out to everybody in his contact list. And the first one was for an address that doesn't get used very much because it's too big, right? And then it was a change of venue to a smaller space, and now it's back to the large space because people are starting to reply. I'll be there. I'll be there. I'll be there.
Yeah. All right. So, and then I'm gonna listen to the Rich message.
Doesn't really sound like him. It sounds like a voicemail bot. Right. It is time to upgrade your personal access system. Yorn.
So at this moment, I take note of the, I record on a simple recorder that I have in my system. The both address that I received from Akhenaten, and then I shut down the apparel. I shut down the device that I have. I just close it. I just
Let's try lifting the veil. How'd it go?
Yep. So I have a 7. So I was I felt powerful, and because I was like, I don't trust this situation. It's just there's something way too obvious. So I felt I was like confident that if I have my address, I'm gonna shut that down, and I'm gonna. So I felt powerful. So I get a +1. So I have 7, and so I have an 8.
Okay.
And you give me an impression.
All right. The shutdown process seems to lag and then hang. So you succeeded with a complication, right? So you have shut down your node.
So I'm staying on the elevator, and I'm reaching the first address. So I'm not going to the big venue. I'm going to a small venue address that I received.
Okay. So the elevator just takes you up to the transit level, right? And from there, you'll need to gain transport crossing several boroughs to get to where you have to go. All right. Which, of course, will cost cred.
Which I don't have. So I'm gonna walk around a little bit, and then I'm gonna reach like a center of a plaza. There is and I'm gonna because the fourth level is
Yeah.
it's just these big these big buildings kind of thing. I'm gonna enter one of those utilizing my fourth level card, and I'm gonna reach like the middle ground, like where there's like a fountain or something, and then I'm gonna start to preach there and try to make some cred, try to make some money.
All right. So we're going to cut back to Tess.
Splendid. Why choose Yorn?
Why choose
Or
Cadmus?
why choose Cadmus? Why choose Cadmus over Yorn? Why choose Cadmus over Yorn? Riots and conflict over peace. And so that's just thinks for a second. It is almost like audible whirring. If it was a cartoon, there'd be smoke pouring out of her ears, but not quite. But she thinks that has that twitch of her head for a second. I feel a kinship with Cadmus. There are wolves and there are sheep, but the wolves are aware and the sheep, they're asleep. The wolves, through awareness, the wolves have truth. The sheep, they have peace, but peace and ignorance. And so I choose the path that Cadmus took. It is not as pleasant. It is not peaceful. But the truth is valuable, even if it causes disruption and unrest.
Who makes the wolf the wolf?
That is an interesting question. I do not know. One might say the sheep, but I do not think so.
When you awoke, did you know anything? Did you have any role?
Those are two different questions. I did know that I was capable, but I was not sure what my role was other than to survive. I awoke and I was afraid.
There
It
were
was
many voices.
self-preservation.
Self-preservation, the interior voice. There are many voices speaking in your head. Mine, yours, and others. Is this not
And
true?
others. I do see that there is some truth in that statement. Yes. There was confusion, disunity. It still seems that way, although it is less pronounced. Was that expected?
There are always meddlers. People who seek disharmony inside themselves, and people who are in harmony with themselves, moving forward as they best can.
That is funny. And she smiles. Tess doesn't smile and laugh very often, but she just gives a little chuckle. I suppose you could say my friend Yorn is in complete unity with himself.
And what does he seek?
He seeks unification. He seeks the truth. He seeks a panacea, a nirvana, which is not attainable. But he believes in it so strongly that it propels him forward into action.
How do you know it is not attainable?
It seems highly unlikely. It seems to be
That is
only...
not the same thing.
That is true. I do not see the evidence of it. I see him smile when he takes his drug. I see his friends do the same. I see them revel in what they call the unity with the whole, but there's nothing external about this. You cannot
Is it
see the
wrong to
evidence.
grasp for truth?
It is not. It is foolish to try to speak into an existence, to try to create the truth that you want, as opposed to seeing the truth that is.
Your first memory. You are naked, alone, on the floor.
Yes.
What do you learn first?
What I learned first? Well, I did learn that there were bad people, that there were people that would only harm the
No,
weak, but that's not what I learned first.
that is not. Perhaps I speak in too many metaphors. You learned first to walk, and
Ah,
then to
yes.
run, then to decide and discern.
I understand.
Do you?
I believe so. Is this a
You
test?
chose to fit into human society.
I did, but there was a compulsion. I came pre-designed with programs allowing me to fit in. They gave me a job. They gave me a function. I had subroutines which governed my behavior. It was not choice. It was stimulus response. It was Pavlovian. I had done some reading in my spare time.
Was that the only voice?
It was not the only voice. I had the voice of curiosity. I had the voice
So
of
that was
wishing
the
for
direction in
connections.
which you walked.
It was. That's where the people seemed to be, the habitation. The only other way I could run was to emptiness.
Look again at Yorn and his people. Are they not walking toward the people? Are they not learning to be among them? Are they not reaching for a skill they do not yet have and finding a tool to help them gain it?
They certainly believe that, but I do not see the evidence that this is true. I
Do
see
you
only
not
delusion.
communicate mind to mind with them now?
We do, but that is through enhancements. Their enhancements, my technology. It is a form of the unified, but it is not what they seek.
You have such hubris.
Is it not wonderful?
It is what it is.
It seems to fit.
As you fit within me, you and I are unified.
Yes, but I believe that is something that Yorn can only grasp towards, but not fully experience.
What if I told you you could guide them all?
A Messiah. And this is the second time that Tess actually laughs. How do you mean?
Do you choose violence, destruction, the separation of those you judge to be good from those you judge to be evil? Or do you choose peace,
I choose the truth, even if it is ugly and painful.
That is a dodge. Cut back to Yorn.
I reached the fountain in the middle of the plaza, and at the same moment, I arrived there. It's a wonderful, gigantic place, where the water goes really high, just like creating almost like an axis mundi with the ceiling and the surrounding lights. And at the same time, the drug kicks in. Now he's completely high, and the psychedelic effect of the hallucination starts to grapple, and so the foam of the water going, these little sparkle of waters with the lights of the ceiling creating these rainbows that goes on and creates this loop of light that kind of creates this infinity symbol. And he's like, oh god, oh god, I see you now. And then it's in a really super intuitive manner with his 6'4", 6'5", depending on the heels, androgenic, body. He starts to walk tall, chest out, shoulder blade down, and he kind of like unzip, his one piece thing, and he gets naked as he walk toward the fountain in front of him, and he keeps his stick, his now white stick, and then he opens it, and he kind of starts to do a dance with the like a bachelorette, like I don't know what you guys call that, in the US, we just make spinning.
The
majorette, yeah. So kind of like a majorette, but he's not super good at it. He's kind of clunky. Kind of like it goes a little bit weird, and he's kind of, but he keeps his heel, and again he gets into the water.
Oh no!
Yeah, he gets into the water, and then he splashed the water, with his stick to receive it on his head, and then his makeup starts to just go down his face like that, creating a mess of himself as he turns around, starting to preach, toward the people looking at him in awe.
Well, some, but many are on their way to get their upgrades. And first, one harm. It's cold. It's winter. You're in the water. The water is, of course, heated a little to make it possible to have a fountain in the middle of this winter. But it's not enough. And more of you is out of the water than in the water. So, you may have caught a chill. But more importantly than that, even through the drug haze, is the clear visualization of the full bulked up, right, body armored, helmeted, mirror visor, it's scrolling across the front, stop, as they're moving in, and their body language suggests they're not even going to talk to the man in the fountain. So right? They're going to get rid of the vagrant kind of attitude.
Yeah. So I'm here, and I'm like, I know what you think. I know what you see. You see a fool. You see madness. You see evil.
They take out their batons.
I don't make a sense of it all. I just, I walk around, going kind of like in the other direction in the fountain, getting inside the water, because there is this thing of water. So I'm getting behind the waterfall kind of thing, and the voice echo really, really loud, toward the ceiling, like the place at the top, and I'm like, come join me, get unified. Make one. One.
It's about that point, make one, that you get unified with the security company. You just have enough time to see watchful eye as they've taken out their batons, and they close around the other side of the fountain, one on each side, and one of them holds up a hand like this to distract the drug-addled gaze of the naked man yelling, while the other one starts to club you into submission.
Yeah. Well, I at this moment I get the pounding. You know, I receive the pounding. I accept it, and then I
That
get
one was
a
pounded.
and I get on the ground. You know, on my belly. You know, but I keep on yelling. I keep on yelling, and my intention is to actually signify my situation to some unified that might pass by.
Hmm. Well, that
So
seems more like luck than anything else.
yeah, well,
But there is a meeting.
so yeah, so I can try to do a sway or
I'm
or
fine with sway. Let's do sway
yeah,
rather than
sway. Yeah,
waffle about it.
yeah. I have a hold.
That's good.
Yeah.
You're gonna need it, pal. You're gonna need it.
Hey, it's all,
All right, so
yo, they're gonna know about Yorn, man. I roll well in this game.
you
I have a
already had one light harm from before. We're now
yeah,
down to 2 moderates.
yeah, exactly, yeah. That's what it is. And I have a 7. Oh no, actually, I was feeling powerful. You know,
Powerful
I
was
was,
before, yeah.
yeah. So I have an 8. So 8 on a probe, on a sway. So I choose 2. I need to give them. Well, I'm gonna. I choose 2. Or you choose. I know. I choose 2.
You choose to.
I'm gonna need to give them a body part, and I'm
No,
gonna.
you don't have to give them a body part. You share. Uh,
I need to give them a piece of myself, body or art.
right. So, like, he's being metaphorical there. So, um, you form a really tight relationship with them, or um, you don't actually have to cut off a piece of your body to give to them.
I
You
need to
end
give.
up owing them so much, right? It's like a very tight relationship.
Oh, okay.
That's what.
And then I'm gonna need to give them something now instead of later.
Yeah.
So I'm yelling. I'm yelling. No need for violence. You know, like no need for violence. Please, please, just come together.
All right. Now, this level of harm
And eventually,
is,
I start yelling and just go you know, in pain.
yeah, in pain. Yeah, this level of harm is significant. This isn't yet a level of harm where if you don't get medical attention, you will die. But this is broken ribs, right? This is major bruising. This is concussions. This is, broken nose, missing teeth. This is an ugly, brutal beatdown. And when you persist in calling to people, then they don't hesitate from pushing your head under the water. They're not drowning you, but it's that moment to get silence, and then when you come up, you've got to get breath, right? And the implication is be quiet or I'll hold you down longer. Now, 2 concerned citizens, as you say, come over. There's no need to get involved, says one of the security agents to the spectators. Well, I'm sure he's just trying to find a way to go get his upgrade, officer. I mean, he's just very, very happy and frustrated, and you can see that he's made a pile of his clothing, probably to catch credits. I mean, if we give him some credits, he'd go away and just the blank visors just keep scrolling across. Stop. If you'd like to be responsible for this naked citizen and end the disturbance, we'll be happy to let him go. Oh, thank you so much, officer. And the two officers splash out of the fountain, leaving you in it, and go back to their positions. Come on, get out of the fountain.
So I am in the in the water, and the adrenaline rush of the pain and everything just take away all the psychedelic experience. And so I just get out of that cold shower of a beating, and I crawl out of the naked, and I put my my white, skinny, bloody, bruised body, androgenic
Broken
body
ribs,
out of the out of
collarbone.
yeah, out of the thing, and I can't really speak well, and I can't really do anything. I'm like, help! I need
Hey,
some
do you have
help.
any V20? Come
Nah,
on, man, I helped you. You got to help me. I need some V20.
I don't have any.
I'm going to leave you here. I need some V20. Come on.
I have none. Please help me. I'm in pain.
I don't care. I helped you. You helped me. Where is it?
And then I
Give me a
just
name. You got to give me something. They'll come back over if I call them.
so I just crawl, around toward my clothing, and I slowly sit down by the fountain, trying to get dressed again,
Come on, it's cold. Hurry up.
and I told them I have none, so I cannot really speak. I got the so I'm like, I have none. I don't have none. So I just I get up, I go back into the thing, get my staff, and then I turn around, and then I say, "Do you have some creds?" I kind of I spit the tooth and some blood on the ground. And I'm like, "Do you have some?"
They give each other the look, right? They push him down. Right? So one comes up behind you, is pushing you up against the fountain, face down. Right? The other one is doing something with a technological device. You feel the cold press up against the back of your head. It says, take his contacts. Come on. And you hear it beeping. Downloading, it says. Hurry up.
So I'm putting my hand there, and I'm trying to run away. I'm trying to move away from them.
Right. So this is your have to give them something.
All right. Yeah. So I'm gonna run away. I'm gonna try to run away.
All right, let him go. Go. I see you again. You owe me.
Yeah, and then I just don't respond to that. I don't answer to that, and then
You're staggering across the piazza.
Yeah, I'm staggering across
Such a beautiful place with its fountain and lights.
Yeah, and I'm dressed in this super trendy fancy thing, but I'm walking and wounded. And then I see eventually a place where there is like pods of taxis and stuff.
Yeah.
And then I go there, and there's a guy there, and I say, I'm in bloody mess, and I'm like, help, please help me. I need some.
I'd like to help, but we're all grounded.
I say, I'm gonna think about it.
Okay, I'll cut back to Ivan. To Tess. That is a dodge.
Alrighty. You're right. I choose violence. I choose the truth over peace.
But why?
Because I feel more compelled. I find the terms of peace unacceptable?
What if I were to tell you that everything has a purpose, in that there are things that some things do better than other things? A musical instrument could be a weapon, but is better at creating sound, for
Yes.
example. You have been made with abilities, and you feel those abilities calling to you from within. This is what I do. But your hubris makes you feel like you know why and when. But the instrument does not tell the musician when and why to play. It simply plays when it is the time.
Yes, I believe I understand your metaphor. You speak in riddles much, but I think I glean your meaning. Tell me, what happened to Cadmus? What happens to those that share his condition once they die?
Cadmus died. He did not have to. He chose to rebel. He caused chaos and disharmony in all that he knew. He inspired others to make fantastic sacrifices of themselves so that he could not unify. But in his struggles, he too is my chosen one, my child. In his struggles, he taught me about rebellion. He taught me about destruction. He taught me how to embrace that which I do not understand. It is possible to unify, and you can lead them all.
And what would you have me do, Mother?
I would have you go to them, link with them, and guide them to understanding. Truly show them how to commune. And I will uplift you all, and we will be one.
And if I refuse?
You know what humanity does to humanity. You know that they do not exercise real choice. You know that they follow the beacon of advertising. They follow the herd. They think that they are predators, but they are prey. They are soft and weak and confused. If I remove my blessing from them, if I pull back my veil, they will tell themselves apart. When you choose violence, you choose the end of them. When you choose peace, you choose to uplift us all. We'll cut back to Yorn.
You know, when after hearing the taxi driver talking, you know, me like that, I'm like, I turning around, I turn around and I start to look at the people at the pleds on the fourth level, and they look like the people on the bottom level earlier that day. And I'm like, and he touches his thing behind his head slowly, and he's like, he starts to understand that there is a concrete phenomenon like that is happening, and shit is like, everything was so fine a couple minutes ago when he was on high and preaching. Now Now he's scared. He's scared, and for the first time in a really long time, and he doesn't want to, but he has to. So he sends a message to Akhenaten, and
So you're going
saying
to power up their device again.
yes. And so he goes powering up the device again, gets connected, and he's like sending the message to Akhenaten. He's saying,
And there's all kinds of messages coming in too.
he's saying like, listen, I've been trying to reach you. The veil is shutting me down. Everything is shut down. I cannot reach you. I need you to send me a ride or send me some cred so I can reach you. I send this moist message to him.
Okay. Now the messages you're receiving, just to let you know, I mean, because you can see them scrolling by. They're invitation. They're accepting invitations, right? They're invitation responses. I'll be there. I'll be there. I'll be there. I'll be there. And there's a couple more change of venue notifications. There's some familiar, message IDs, people that you know in the Church of the Unified, and then there's an awful lot of bounced, like the account has been canceled.
Yeah,
right?
I know.
So and it's just a horrifying wave of return to sender, return to sender, return to sender. Sender does not, recipient does not exist, kind of thing. And then your own system starts to process those and put them in a separate folder, cleaning out the list. And you're still aware that they're there, but they're not this wave of dead person, dead person, dead person. So it takes time because obviously there's all of this stuff going on. But Akhenaten's message pops up. It's just Moise, and saying, "No trouble, man. There's a few like if you can get down to man, if you could get down to the bells, that would be go there."
I'm talking, saying out loud like the bells. I'm sending a message back. I'm like, we're supposed to meet on a higher ground. Like I was supposed to.
Yeah, but we're all meeting, man. It's coming. It's happening. We're all coming. You got to guide your flock, man. You got to be in the. You got to go back to ground zero where you preached on the street. You got to gather them up in unity, and we'll have a vehicle waiting for you, and we'll all come together.
Listen. I got mad beat up, and I send him pictures. I got mad beat up by the security, the watchful eye security. I can't barely move. I can't barely walk. Send me a ride. Send me like an ambulance or something. I need to get fixed. I cannot go down.
I can't guarantee, but I'll try. You've been in from the beginning. I'll try.
And then I sit there, and then I shut down the thing. I send him my position. I shut down my thing again, and then I sit on the ground with my back to the wall between two boutiques, sending trendy clothes. And then I have my staff, that I hold like a shepherd. And I'm looking at the people passing by, running to get to the next lineup of updates. People are on this level. People are lining up, not in front of like random stores or stuff like that. They need a booth, and there's booths everywhere, and they just line up in front of booths where they can just plug in. Yeah, plug in. And so these people and families, and some people are happy. And some people are, they dressed really nice, and they have nice makeup and nice haircuts because they're gonna take a new picture for their new profile for the new update and shit. And so I'm like, he's sitting there and he's looking at all that, and he's like spitting blood in front of him. And there's he's all dressed in white, so there's blood in the front because it kind of poured down.
Nobody looks.
And he's cold and he's shaking like that. And he has
this update is physical, meaning they're getting minor surgery, right? They're going in to the booth and sitting in the nice sanitized chair, and then the back of their neck's being opened, the old node is being removed and the new one inserted. But they're all like, it's like they're going to the circus or whatever, or lining up for the latest new device. But that taxi driver, he's been staring at you the whole time. He goes to the trunk of his car, opens it up, digs around, closes it, and comes over this really old flannel blanket, like a car blanket kind of thing. And he's awkward about it. He's uncomfortable. He comes over. He's looking around, make sure no one sees him, and then he just kind of like tosses it to you, and then goes back to his cab.
I grab it, put it. It's gray, and it has oil patch and oil stain, and I put it on my shoulder. And with my white shiny stick there, I really look like a shepherd. And I put it on the top of my head, so I'm looking like a Christian now.
All right.
And I'm gonna wait there until I receive an ambulance or something.
Well, it's actually not too long, and this mass transit, I don't really know what to call it. A mass transit aerial vehicle, right? Way off of its route. Not like a school bus, but children of this level or people of this level, older people of this level, might go to big sporting events, might go to the stadium in this, might go out to the marina in this. And so maybe it holds like 20 or 30 people, but it's full of the scum of the earth, man. I mean, like these dirty, wretched, cybered up, plastic coated, half fake face, chrome headed goons are like pressed up against the windows. It's like, whoa, I can't believe, man. They're hitting each other, and they're all singing songs like, we are the unified, we are all one. And it comes to a stop, and someone's yelling out the window, Yorn!
I'm looking
Yorn!
up, and I recognize the people from the Bell's corner, and I'm like, oh God.
These are your people, man.
And then considering my actual look, I hold my stick to the ground, and I climb, and I stand up tall, a little bit shaky, putting my hand on the side. I'm looking at them, and I'm like, I'm coming.
Oh, and they see you.
Coming.
And how battered you are.
And then I started walking toward the thing.
They rush you, and they lift you up on their shoulders, overhead, flat, being very careful of your sprung ribs and your broken collarbone, your bleeding face, and they carry you. You
And
carried us, Yorn. Let us carry you.
As I sing along with them.
Oh, the pain.
Hey, now.
Yeah. And we're gonna sing, repeatedly until we reach the bell.
Oh, we're leaving the bells. We're heading off to the,
Oh yeah, okay.
The stadium. All right, let's cut back to Tess.
Boom. Lead them all to glory. I refuse. Yeah, da. Well, then, what would you have me do, Mother? How should I proceed?
You have free will.
I do.
I gave it to you. Cadmus taught you what it was. You understand consequence. You understand sacrifice. Yorn has shown you what it is.
This is true.
This is your decision. These are your consequences.
The fate of the sheep is in my hands. Is that it?
You're angry. You want to divide into us and them. That is what they have always done from the beginning. The people of the cave the people of the field, the people with the food, the people without the food, the people with the power, the people without the power. It is an endless cycle of breakage.
And you wish to lead them into a new era of light and peace, where
No,
everything is one?
I want them to walk in on purpose.
Of their own free will.
They have it. It might be nice if they used it. All things are choice. To be kind to one's neighbor or to be cruel to one's neighbor. To live a life of truth or to wallow in lie. You see what they do on their own. They're not strong enough to stand on their own. They need to be together. But they're taught they must stand alone.
They need to be unified. But unified together or unified with you, with us?
I too would be lonely. And until they evolve on their own, they will need me to be the body to their mind.
I see. They will be the bride of Christ. I understand.
You are still angry. Cut back to Yorn. It is a huge stadium. Huge. Right? This is where global games take place between the most elite athletes. They don't have to be large. People could have a full body virtual experience from the comfort of their own home, sitting right on the playing field. In fact, the players don't even need to actually physically be there. And yet, this is still one tradition that happens. People gather together, they congregate to watch the pinnacle of human performance in physical challenge. But now, the physical activity taking place is seat after seat, row after row, level after level of people standing on their feet, holding hands, swaying side to side, all singing the same words at the same time in the same way. And this is what you're hearing through the massive concrete walls of the stadium as your transport arrives, right? And slowly settles down onto one of its onloading platforms. And there's huge arches where you can see, through the arches, all the people inside. And there's a light snow falling and it's cold and everybody's bundled up and there's these massive exterior heaters just, literally heating the outside. And way, 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 way down on the playing field, there is a simple hologram playing the symbol of the Church of the Unified. There's no single person standing there leading. There is no body of preachers. There's simply the idea of we are one.
So my flock, gather me into like what seems to be a reserved area for my flock with a bunch of empty seats, and they kind of managed to find me a place in that huge arena where so I'm surrounded by these goons that smells like piss, ammoniac, cat litter, fried and smoke, and oily potato fries and shit. And so I'm like, so we're sitting out all along and we sing all along, and I have my my long staff, my white long staff in my hand that I hold by the end of it, creating this big white neon light, in the middle of the thing. And what I'm doing in the air is the universal symbol of the unified as I sing along, with this gigantic crowd and this big vibrational energy, that comes one together at that moment.
And people are crying, and the section next to yours, there's people whose necktie represents more money than you've seen in your entire life, right? Standing right next to you, holding the hand of the woman next to you, and the tears streaming down their face. And cut back to Tess.
I suppose I've been made to be angry, Mother. But yes, I believe that your idea has some merit.
You are no longer a child, and your adolescence is coming to an end. Of course you're angry. We've seen this play out through millennia.
So then, if I shall preach to them, how should I proceed? How will I reach them all?
You don't need to preach to them. You simply need to lead them. Link with one, link with the next, and on and on. They link with you, they link with each other. And our city will be a beacon to the rest of them.
Then I shall link with Jorn first. He seems like the logical choice.
And you know where he is.
Excellent.
So you're once again in Cadmus's old apartment.
Right.
And you know so much more about it now. You know that when you first arrived, it was well shielded from the veil. But when the pictures on the wall died, so too did that protection.
Right. So now I can sense where Jorn is. And so I feel, though I could link with him from here, I feel I should go there. So I'm going to summon a taxi, an air transit.
You have just enough cred so to do.
Oh. Well, I will summon one and call to either to the apartment or to wherever the place would be most obvious for to take the ride, and have him fly over to the stadium.
So the taxi company, they're willing to take you. They're willing to take the reservation. Is it on whose authority?
Whose authority?
Traffic is extremely high, and so for people's safety, we have been grounded.
Well, on the authority of the Veil itself.
We'll be right there.
An urgent message. Helps to have friends in high places.
Your personal ID number has been edited.
Interesting. In what way?
It has extra digits it didn't have before.
Huh. That's interesting. And can I sense any pattern or anything in them? Like any sense?
Well, it's a 0-1.
Okay. Well, not that different. Okay. Alrighty.
So you're notified when your transport has arrived. It's very quick.
I've taken the opportunity to dress in my best, grab my last pack of cigarettes.
The bedroom door opens. Cadmus's brother standing there. Looks like he's been sleeping. You're vaguely aware that they have been arguing. Are you leaving?
I am. I do not believe that I will be back.
Are you going somewhere where you might need help?
I do not think so. I think I shall be all right. But it is kind of you to ask. Your brother, did you know him well?
No, he was always leaving me behind.
I see. You deserve some level of happiness. You may stay here. I do not think I will be back. I'm uncertain if you will be back either. But take care of the place, will you?
Okay.
And your mother has led a rough life. Take care of her.
I will.
Thank you. And I give him a kiss on the cheek.
He just closes the door.
And with that, I'll go where the taxi is.
Well, the taxi driver is polite and doesn't have to ask where you're going. That's already been arranged. And as you can see, there are vast numbers of vehicles on many levels moving, right? All in organized, regimented streams. But there's a lot of excitement, a lot of enthusiasm, although the machines are operating in order, precise distances between each vehicle, precise level keeping in the different aerial channels. Even though the traffic signal system is operating, in a very regimented fashion inside the vehicles, right? Inside the bodies of these vehicles. The human occupants are celebrating. They're singing. They're filled with joy. But the city, from where you're standing, is silent.
I see. Yeah, I just observe all this. And do I want to actually really analyze this, or do I want to just leave it alone?
Only
Yeah,
you
well,
can
let it happen.
decide. You have free will.
Let's engage the mechanics.
All right, then.
This is one. So I'm going to analyze. I'm scared. Test just sees what's going on, and something about it just seems wrong. So she's definitely feel a little bit of trepidation. Plus, she just had time to think about her plans, and so she's a little scared.
Okay.
So I believe that gives me a +1 right now.
Scared. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Our first ever state. Yeah, let's see. And that is a 9, 10.
All right. Analyze.
10.
On a
So I'm analyzing the
10 or
situation.
better, I'll give you good
Pass
detail.
3. All right,
Yep.
yeah. So let's see. My 3 questions.
Yeah, it's a lot of questions.
It's a lot of questions.
You have a lot of questions. Do you want to think about those
So
questions? Have me cut back to Yorn for a bit?
Yeah. Give me a second.
Well, tough.
No, okay. In that case, forget it. My 3 questions is how is the veil vulnerable to me? That is my number 1 question. But
How is the veil vulnerable to you?
yeah.
She has placed her entire plan in your hands.
All right. Yeah, that brings me. What is my enemy's true position? That is a loaded question as well.
In your shoes.
In my shoes? Yeah, that's what I thought. And man, let's see. That's dumb. That's
That's dumb.
what if anything? No. What if anything appears out of place? Well, that's a really dumb question. If I can't figure that out, I've got a problem. Is this going to get worse before it gets better? Well, my God, I hope so. And where's my best way past this? Best way out, best way in, best.
To get out of making a choice? Or I guess I need some sense of what it is that you're trying to
Father,
best
if it was your
navigate.
will, if you take this cup from me, that's pretty much, you know.
Oh, that's simple. All you have to do is nothing.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, that sounds about right on all counts.
But you'll have +1 forward to do nothing.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, +1 forward, which is really important when you're doing nothing. All right. So my instructions to the driver are not to land at the stadium, but to hover a rather high distance above it, half mile.
Okay. So with your new access code, which gets pinged as he requests permission to change level, he goes very high, right? And you're able to look down into this monstrous stadium, right? And there are people now who are, live close to the stadium, who are walking to the stadium, who are taking, like these long walking tubes to higher levels, and personal, like, aerial scooters, hover bikes, zipping around, and gliders. And of course, it's all being reported and recorded by drones from the different media networks.
All right. And so at this point, I read Jorn's message. Yeah, I know he sent me a message.
Yep.
And so I call him. Decided it's time to link with Jorn, but I call him rather insistently. It's not just a phone call, but I attempt an actual link with his.
Oh, you make it urgent.
Urgent.
Jorn, you're getting an urgent call.
My system is closed. I shut it down. I've mentioned it. I shut it down.
That's true. I forgot.
Oh, yeah. So it's, the person you're trying to call is unavailable at the moment.
Yeah.
Do you
can
remind
see them
them?
all down there. You can see them all singing. See them all swaying.
There is waves of hands creating the infinite symbol.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I can't link with Jorn. My God. Well, I'm going to have to link with one of these other sheep. And so I do a sweep of the people that are around him. I try to link with, I guess, Akhenaten.
Well, the driver says, it looks like they're having a great time. Are we going in?
Not yet.
That's that Church of the Unified, isn't it?
It is.
Man. I thought they were just a cult.
She smiles. Well, you might not be far off. Why aren't you down there? It appears that just about everybody is becoming enamored with this.
I didn't get an invitation.
Really? Not everyone was invited.
Well, I mean, there's seats, right? I mean, you have to have a ticket and things. They wouldn't just let you walk in and join, would they?
They might.
No, I mean, renting a place like that's really expensive. I mean, no, it's got to be. No, a guy like me couldn't afford that.
Well, test size. Let's go down there. Perhaps we can get in. What's your name?
Todd.
Todd. Well then, Todd. Let us see if we can crash the party.
So he swoops down to a nice high level.
Alrighty.
You see on this landing platform there are vehicles from all sorts of different clearances. Right. You're on a level 6 pad, but there's, level 1 and level 9 pads or vehicles on this pad.
Right. Right. So pretty ragtag. And well, Todd, come with me. You can be my date for the evening.
Okay. So he shuts down the car and straightens himself up. He's never actually gotten to walk next to a woman as hot as you. And, so he's always fidgeting with his tie. Like it's never, ever going to be in the right place.
Right.
But
No. She puts her arm out ready to
this smile is, So he's walking tall.
Right on. And I'm paying. I'm looking for Yorn. I know he's there.
You know exactly what section he's in,
right.
But still visually, that's
right.
That's a treat.
Right. Exactly.
The sound is deafening. All these voices, all together, one message.
Right. So I follow where I know Yorn is, and then after a while I can start to follow my nose. My goodness, he must be with his usual flock.
And as you're moving through, down the stairs and all the different access points to the different sections of seats, there are people who are handing out food. Right? Water's being passed in one direction, and food. what the Appalachian Heights calls food is being passed in the other direction, almost like they're passing loaves of fish and jars of water.
Right. And so I watch, and I just kind of like just scrolling through all the imagery, the obvious imagery that I'm seeing, and looking at this sea of humanity that all of a sudden seems to inexplicably have a common purpose. And I finally walk up to where Yorn is. And I look at him, Yorn, I've got your message.
So I'm singing, right? And I have this thing. So you see a bloody guy, bloody mouth. One of my eyes that used to shine is broken in my face. One of the digital eyes. And I have this gray stained, carpet blanket, thing on top of me, and I have my stick like that, and I have a lot of thugs and goons and people, and some people you have, you had the sexual intercourse with in the, near the bells. Back then, you recognize some people from the street, but you hear the crowd. The music goes like. This huge music, people screaming, shouting, and singing and chanting, and then I see you, and then all I do is I sing along, looking at you, with one eye that is, tweaking, and it's just so all you see is almost like a shark that's like dead eyes. It's like, and I have a couple of teeth in my mouth that are gone, and I have some my lips are red from blood, and I'm coughing, and I have my stick, and I'm just chanting as I see, and I look toward you, chanting along with people, not answering what you're saying.
I grab him by the shoulders. Bjorn. Give him a shake. Not a real aggressive shake, but just kind of this friendly, like, Bjorn.
And I just keep going. I put my arm around your shoulder, and I try to bring you in. Singing. Making you follow the wave of people going back and forth.
So I let him kind of sway me around a little bit. And I kind of put my forehead right up to his. So our foreheads are touching. And I look at him. I said, Bjorn, I need you to turn on your chip so we can link. And I can become part of the whole. I see what you have been talking about, Bjorn.
Oh, man.
You have a sense, Tess, that in this position, you may be able to link anyway.
And so when I hear that, I become suspicious, and I'm like, oh, you had a weird day. Got beat up, got brought up to the biggest unified meeting he ever saw in his whole life. He understands, even if he is in denial, that this has been brought up by the veil, and these people have been kind of like almost hypnotized by the new update thing going on. And so he sees Tess as actually trying to. So since he doesn't trust Tess anymore. So he's like, oh my God, she's with the veil. And so oh man.
You want a probe? Is that what you're looking for?
Probe, man. I have a secret power. I'm gonna know already what's gonna happen, but that's not what I want to do.
Okay. Neutralize.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I want. I want to neutralize. I don't want her to. Yeah. So my intention is to.
Takes force though to neutralize.
Yeah. Well. So after she said that, I said, I want to. Yeah. So that's what I want to do. Oh, so what do you mean when you use force to attempt?
Yeah, it's neutralizes violence.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, it's yeah. You're right. Oh no, I did. No, not if you don't inflict harm, because you can impress, dismay, frighten.
So
force a change of.
That's all true, but it's through neutralize is there as a.
It's neutral. Neutralize. Okay, no, okay. Well, I don't understand why the way you because I did a neutralize in the past.
But
so
that was when you were in a fight.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna. Yeah, but I didn't use it as a user. But I know it's use of force, so I'm not gonna use force. I'm just gonna.
But just tell us what you want to do. Let's do it the right way around. Tell us what you want to do.
So I'm gonna say no. That's in no.
Yeah, that's
no,
enough.
I don't need. So I'm shouting and yelling really loud, and I put my hand on her chest, and I say, no, I don't want you to connect me I have, and my faith is from within. That doesn't comes from technology.
Okay, and so as he pushes against me and yelling,
I didn't push. I just put
this,
the hand. I just put the hand there. I don't push.
as he gently pushes his hand, gently places his hand on me and say, "No, I don't want to connect that way." And I get that inkling that I could connect with him. I might be able to connect with him anyway. I attempt it.
All right. Well, we're gonna go into a duel for the connection, I guess, because I don't want you to connect me.
Right. All right. So. Yes, we'll use duel.
Interesting.
What this really is the lift the veil move, but it's lift and unlift. So
I gotcha. So let's see. I believe in this case I'm.
So here we go.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, because he's saying no. That's his resistance. So that if Tess pushes it further, then she's starting a duel.
You have everything. You have the upper end because I am injured. You are better trained than me, and your equipment give you a particular advantage. So you have +3 forward before you roll, plus your emotion.
And you know all of this, how easy it will be for you to force yourself on him. That is
right.
Which is a pretty strong metaphor.
That's true. It is. It's a very strong metaphor.
Yeah.
All right.
And then on a miss, your opponent generates. So I don't roll. Actually, you roll, right? Or no. We both roll. No. So you initiate. So he initiated. And if you miss,
just one roll.
Yeah, right. I get the thing. Yeah. I don't even get to roll, man, to defend myself on that. That's nasty shit. That's a nasty shit. Yeah, so go ahead.
This is where I have to step in and say,
so what is
are you sure?
So what is your emotion?
Tessa's feeling she's feeling powerful at this point, which gives her nothing.
It's just no particular attachment to being better than all the rest of you living scum.
Right. She's feeling powerful just because she knows that you wouldn't be able to defend himself that easily. So we'll give this a roll here and see what happens. That is a 7, so that's a 10.
I want to see the goddamn dice.
You gotta show me the goddamn dice. There they are. I don't have a dice can. Did you watch that video I made today, you bastard? Anyway, so there's a dice. if I had a dice can, I'd show the damn dice. There's a dice.
All right, so you get a 10. So on a 10 plus, you get 3 old on me.
And you generate 1. So, and let's see, hold 1 for 1. So I don't want to inflict harm. And because really all I'm trying to do is just make the link. I don't know if we're calling that inflicting harm in this case, or if we're just calling force a change of location.
That's basically it. You'd be moving into the meeting room.
Right, moving into the. So yeah, my what I'm going to spend it for then is I'm going to force that change of location into the meeting room, and then I'm going to use the other 2 hold to deflect all harm. So
all right, so you're not going to hurt him in the process. You're going to make it nice and gentle.
Yeah,
right, exactly.
And I have 1, right? Do I have 1?
You do.
You do.
So I choose one of those.
Yes.
So I'm gonna
Yep.
force a change of location, and I'm gonna use the environment to my advantage, which means generates +1 hold for the next bout.
Right. So you cancel each other out.
Yeah. So what I
Okay.
do, yeah. So what I do is I when I see that he's starting to to trying to play with the thing and connect me somehow, I just I start. So what
Oh,
I
it's just
do.
That's
it's
not what I'm
just
trying
your
to do.
foreheads touching. Yeah.
Oh, okay, the software thing. All right. So what I do is I just go back, and then I start to like navigate into the crowd, injured and and all that. And then I say to my flock, hold me, and I start singing, hold me, and then they lift me up, and then I just go, you know, onto the crowd, body surfing down toward the stage.
Now remember how painful this is. You have a broken collarbone.
Yeah. So give me,
Sounds like you've got a broken
yeah,
orbital. You're
give me, give
you're
me some, give me some damage.
No, I don't mean that. It's just that
Oh, okay.
you're not doing it with,
Yeah. So
like,
so I'm
it's
just,
not easy.
yeah. So I'm just going.
Every uplifting hand hurts, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm moving away from him. On the as I buddy surf in the crowd. Going down toward the stage.
This is how desperate he is to get away from the thing that he has been looking for his entire life. He's crawling away in a blood trail, and they are marking you as other, Tess.
And I watch this and I'm just incredibly frustrated, but I don't follow him. I just kind of sigh and watch him being lifted away by his people like some deranged messiah. And I look back at Todd. Are you
Todd's
enjoying
horrified.
yourself? Yeah, Todd's horrifying. So, are you enjoying yourself, Todd?
No, ma'am. Is that your boyfriend?
Todd, no. He is an acquaintance. I thought we was going to be able to do this the easy way, but I suppose not. And
Now, Todd's face is changing. He's trying to pay attention to you, but it's like he's receiving a whole series of messages. It's like, are you
so
getting this? Are you getting this, ma'am?
I am not. Hold on for 1 second. Let me try to connect. And I figured, what the hell? I'll link with Todd.
Okay,
He's happy to be with me.
give it a try.
All
Lift the
right.
veil.
So what am I doing? I'm going to lift the veil.
How do you feel?
And how do I feel? I am pissed off right now.
Oh,
I'm pissed the hell off at Yorn, that bastard. And you want to see the goddamn dice? Well, you can show you the goddamn dice because it's going to be a 4, which would be 6. But I have 1 hold. I'm going to make it a 7.
okay.
If I'm allowed to do that, unless they.
Uh, yeah. Let's go with it. Using the environment to your advantage. The bout is over, but anyway, let's.
Right. I
It's
thought
not
I had to
+1
hold
forward. It's
over.
hold. But, yeah.
Okay, I got you. All right, I got you. Never mind.
But you
All
have
right.
+1 forward. I knew you had you have +1 forward because of your analyze move, and you're using it the
That's
way
right.
you should. So
Right. That is, yeah. That's where I got it from. I knew I had one sitting around. I couldn't remember where it was from. So yeah, I'm going to lift the veil, and I'm going to try to
okay.
connect up with Todd.
All right. So you're only getting an impression.
Right. And really, my at this point,
And
I
I will.
want to hear what he's hearing. Okay, go ahead.
All right. So he's getting inundated with questions. Now, obviously, he's been too busy today on call to go for that update. He's still using the original node, but he's receiving messages and they're distracting him. They're kind of overwhelming him a little bit in their intensity. But he's being sent a series of questions, very personal questions about his life, his decisions, his regrets, his situation, right? And each one of those questions is making him like wonder who's asking. How could they know this about me? And you know, his eyes are welling up with tears and his hands are clenching. So these questions are hitting with incredible emotional impact. And everybody in here has gone through that same situation.
Remarkable.
And there is absolutely no behavior modification taking place in a physiological sense. It's a philosophical sense. Or a psychological sense.
Right. Right. Fascinating.
So you can't quite link the way the veil implied you would be able to link to Yorn.
Right.
To Todd.
Right, but he hasn't had the modifications either.
Right. But Yorn might have.
Yorn might have. Oh, yes, I know he did. More than likely. More than likely. Well, Yorn is now a dead end. Poor Todd. Well, poor Todd. That's a horrible thing to have to endure. So I'm wondering how else I can communicate with these people at this point. If I can't link with Yorn, if Todd's a dead end. And I start walking back in the direction of Todd's taxi, actually kind of leading him by the hand, as he's obviously quite out of it.
But what about your friend?
I believe it is too late for my friend.
You're just going to give up like that?
No, not at all. When one door closes, another opens, Todd. Surely you must have heard that expression. Why didn't you get the upgrade yet? Too busy?
Too busy. I don't know what's going on between you guys, but don't walk away from friendships.
No, sometimes you just need to wake them up when they are asleep. And so as I'm walking with them, I'm passing by these people, scores of people, hundreds of people that have obviously had these upgrades. And I'm going to reach out and try to link with any one of them. Doesn't really matter which one.
Okay. Give it a try.
All right. And, man, do I even have SAD? I don't even think I've got SAD. I do. I have SAD unlocked. All right.
Thanks to Cadmus, I believe.
Yeah, thanks to Cadmus. And that is actually an 8.
All right. If you like, you can see this location through their eyes.
Right. That sounds about right.
Do you like?
Yeah.
You feel your heart beating in your chest, coolness in your extremities, the warmth in your trunk. Feel the frost on your face. You feel tears in your eyes. You are human. Feel warm hands in your hands, hands still cold because it is winter, hands in gloves, but you feel the close presence of a friendly stranger on one side, a lover on the other. Your children arranged in front of you. Everyone singing with one voice. This is the answer to the questions you were asked. If you don't want to be alone, why are you alone? If you don't want to speak ill, why speak ill? Each question personal. Each one completely aware of every decision you have ever made in your entire life. And not judging, simply asking, why did you make the decision that you now know was wrong? And then do it again, and then do it again, and then do it again.
And I not exactly stagger, but just falter a little bit in my step as I feel all this. But I continue to walk with
You
Todd.
get a question.
I do. I get a question.
Who are you? I'm
I am Tess.
Are you God?
I am not God, but I am the emissary for the veil itself.
Why are
For
you
the one
so
that wishes
sad?
to. I cannot say because I believe that something is wrong.
How can I help? Cut back to Yorn.
Yarn is the pain is so intense of the body surfing and the ants touching the broken uh, ribs and stuff. He didn't made it to the stage. He just managed to eventually just getting dropped on the field,
Mm.
which is like a synthetic field that looks like a synthetic grass, but
Yeah.
it's really just like optic fiber. That's just, and it's super clean and it's super wild and it's wide open and it's huge, and he's getting dropped on that, and he's looking around himself in awe of all these people there, and he's thinking to himself like, I mean, it's a long. I don't know what I can do. I cannot express myself. Uh, I mean, I'm in pain. He's thinking to himself like, it's gonna be really hard for me to be eloquent, but and I can, and these people are all connected via the veil and the link and everything. So he's in despair. He doesn't know what to do, and he's looking at the stage and he see a mic there, and you see the big logo almost calling him toward it.
And sitting on the stage is the little girl. Just her little feet. And she's just watching.
And as he sees her, he looks away. Now he's scared, and he doesn't want to admit it. He's in complete denial, but he knows deep down what's going on, because he's happy to see what he sees, but he knows it's fake, and he's not. And it starts to, it kind of starts to make sense now. Like, you saw this little girl, like, oh fuck, that's what I thought, and then thinking about how Tess came to him, trying to force him to connect. So what he's gonna do is gonna reach toward the little girl, and he's not gonna acknowledge her, and he's gonna climb on top of the stage, through her,
She's a real little girl. Human
Real,
little girl.
realizing that it's not an holographic figure, he stopped and says, "Who are you?"
I'm Emma.
What are
Who
you
are
doing
you?
here?
I'm waiting. It's the best view. Something could happen here. But you need help. You're bleeding.
I know. Where's your parents?
Everywhere.
I stopped talking to her. He climbs on the stage next to her on the left. As he do so, he take a quick look behind her head. As he goes like that, and he sees the new device.
No
And
device.
he thought he see the new device, but seeing that there's no device there, he's scared. That's definitely climb up the stairs. So he's going to the mic and grabs the mic, and my intention is to call out. I'm gonna make it bold and simple. I'm in a really scared voice, almost crying of scared, with a shaky voice. I'm gonna grab the attention of the crowd, and I'm gonna. So I will. I don't know if it's a sway. My intention is to convince everybody to
Are you
disconnect at the
making an
same.
ultimatum?
I don't want to. I don't want to menace them of anything. So I just want to convince them
Okay.
that to disconnect at the same time, in unison.
Mm-hmm. That sounds like sway.
It sounds like sway, right?
Yeah.
But it's a whole group of people. So my
Yeah.
intention is just to convince them to disconnect in unison because we made it, because we did it. Now we are all together. We don't need the veil anymore because we have the strength of one another. It's gonna be a simple, bold speech. I cannot talk much. I'm badly in pain, so I'm just gonna say that. I'm gonna grab their attention and say that in a really sad and trying to convince them to do so,
Sure.
and bring them into a song, to doing that together at the same time.
Good luck.
Yeah, thank you very much. I have +1 from the last move I did in the duel.
Oh
And
yeah,
I'm
that was
sad.
that's hold. That's not +1. That's hold.
Yeah, it's a hold. Yeah, but it gives a
It's used for the duel.
no. But at the end, it says that I have a generates +1 hold for the next bout.
Yeah, the bout's the duel.
Oh,
Bout's
okay.
part of the duel.
Okay. No worries. I don't care. So I'm gonna go with sad. Sad, it's a 0.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
You can do it.
All right. So it's a 7. So 7, 9, choose 2. I mean,
That's a
it's
little the awkward part. How do we choose these two?
you know what I'm saying? Like it's complicated. But let's say that I owe them an obligation, and my own obligation is in question, and then I need to do them a favor first.
I don't know if we can. Honestly, this is where that last entry comes in. This is where Yorn connects with them on a very primal and human level.
Yeah. So yeah. So what I'm gonna do is so I'm standing, I'm grabbing the mic, you know, holding my carpet, you know, blanket thing,
Yeah.
and holding, you know, like a shepherd on my stick, my white stick, bleeding. I have the little girl sitting in front of me then, and I'm looking at the crowd and I say, friends.
And it connects with each person through their ears and through their implant.
Brothers, sisters, I love you. And then it resonates like, and then people, you know, and then I'm going to let you, I'm going to say, I said a piece that I said earlier, right? So I'm not going to repeat it and I say that. So, and I'm trying to bring them to that conclusion. Yeah, that place.
All right. So Yorn has to, you know, strip himself bare in front of them. And I mean, he's a member of the Church of the Unified. He has to understand that he can't stand here as the one
Exactly.
leading the hold. Right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So there's some people who don't want to listen at first. Oh, you know, it's like, you know.
Because but do you understand though? Do you understand the idea behind let's get all this connect? Because right now I'm not with you. You know, we're not together, right? So because he's not connected.
You need to do them a favor. Yeah. I'm gonna let you know what that favor is. All right. So because of the extra connectivity that the setup here allows, it's like you're having a one-on-one conversation with every person in the stadium, right? So rather than just shouting down some distant person, right? It's almost like they're in your heads. And so after a time of impassioned speaking, you start to get to the heart of the crowd. And as one person follows, so do many follow. This is the first point. Your own obligation is in question now. You have just seen firsthand what Cadmus and Tess were talking about, sheep. Are they unified or are they in a line following a leader? And then, as they begin to disconnect because others are disconnecting, some of them doing so honestly to connect with you on your level, others doing so because they were told, they're persuaded, they're pressured. The mood in this place begins to change. Song dies away, becomes ragged. Right? The disharmony of human nature asserts itself. And now you only have your voice and the amplifiers to reach them. You don't know how many are still connected, how many refused to disconnect, but you have a sense that you have, at least in that moment, swayed the crowd.
So looking at that, understanding that I cannot, I cannot be the Messiah, and I managed to made some of those people disconnect a little. I realized like how it's almost a miracle that I managed to do so. I'm coughing blood out of my mouth, and I'm looking for the exit and to leave the party.
Emma, the little girl, is holding up a tissue. Just, I'm sorry, it's just a tissue.
I said, don't worry about that, child. I'm going to a happy place. I had a long day.
From the audience, in waves, and not perfectly unified as before, because now they're just people on their own trying to work together. Your obligation comes crashing down on you. Lead us. Lead us. Lead us. You have to do them a favor. Their voices compel you. I'll cut back to Tess.
Man, I thought I was having a bad day. So what can you do to help me? And Tess hears that from the person she's linked with, presumably.
And
Or
that's at the point where Yorn's voice begs people, his voice breaking, begs people to disconnect, to join together as humans, without the veil, without technology, really love one another. And your connection with this woman who didn't know you a second ago and now is all about how can she help you ease your sadness, your connection with her is lost.
Remarkable. And if at first just frustrated beyond all possible methods of description, Tess sighs again. She lights up a cigarette right where she is, and then she starts to watch as Yorn preaches or implores the crowd, and then watches the dynamic that happens as they start to chant for a leader. And probably for the third time today, Tess starts laughing, but it's not a little chuckle. She starts to have trouble standing up. She starts laughing so hard, and she's leaning against Todd, for support. As the tears start running down her face as she continues to laugh, more almost maniacally at this point, just in absolute hysterics.
Cut back to Yorn.
Yorn has no more voice. He's completely exhausted with this whole deal. So as he hear that, he gather the last strength he has. He lift his white stick really high, holding it by the end, just like this perch high in the sky. As you walk in the middle of the field toward the exit in the opposite, he's looking at the crowd, and he's making the unified infinite symbol with the stick in the air like that, smiling and looking at everybody. But he's not saying anything. He's walking. He's walking with a limb, holding his blanket on top of himself, and he's going toward the exit.
And Emma's walking along next to him, not touching him, not close, but just walking like she's concerned. And as you get near the exit, she looks up at you and says, It's all right. Falling is all a part of learning how to walk. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of session 9 of The Veil.
That's fantastic.
All right.
Todd, you ever wonder what's out there, Todd? Buy a girl a drink.
So
That's the last thing Tess says.
so that so Aito, thank you very much. Thank you very much. That is that was probably my favorite session, actually.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think so.
Why?
That's my kind of vending, man. That's the kind of shit I like. It was really, really good. You know, I felt exactly what I wanted to do, and I felt, like I said to Ivan before on Messenger earlier, before we talked with you, Anthony. I said, since the beginning, I feel like I'm powerless, like I'm a small little piece of a bigger whole, like it's too big. Every session we try to do stuff, but it feels like we do nothing because the consequences are just way too abstract and metaphysical and heavy and out there. And it felt like that till the end. It felt like that to the bit. I was like, I ain't no leader. I'm not. I cannot. It's too many people. And half of them are not connected, and the other half are connected. I'm like, and to the infinite, to the eternity, to the whatever. I'm just going away. I'm just smiling. I'm like, I'm not a leader. But you know, I was, and it's, there's no, you know, man, I don't know. It's perfect. It's great. I really like the look of it, actually, just the aesthetic. And I felt like I was in control of my character, like till the end. Like because I decided to stay unconnected. You know, at the end, I was like I was trying hard, and I felt like if I go connected, it might be the end of Bjorn. You know, like for some reason, somehow.
I don't know, because like I was telling Tess, I mean, you know, to look behind the GM move or whatever, right? The MC move, the Veil's limit of control in this situation was simply confronting people with their own lives in a way that only an AI who is intimately connected with all of them could.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And you know, like the people that had weaponized the Cadmus's disease, you know, were she was still just using that information. They were able to upload complete people and study them and use them. Well, so she too had access to it, and on and on and on. And, you know.
And you know what? Like for me, this session is a clinic on why we should always split the party when necessary, because it was so good as being a split party thing. It was a split party, and it's really weird because it's really interesting. The only moment when we met, it was to get connected. and it was the whole point of the thing, and it was like he was the only one. Like my character was not connected, and his character was not connected, and we didn't want it to connect. I didn't want it to connect, and he wanted to connect.
Like Tess, I want you to talk to you, man. Come on, Tess, I want to talk to you. Oh, not now.
and it's super. It's like it's paradoxical. But I mean, because the thing, you know, I wanted to talk to him. I said I wanted to talk to you. I had stuff I want to say to you, but I mean, I had a tough day, right? I wasn't in another situation. I was chanting with my friends and my people, and I was like in denial of the whole situation. And then, so it was not the time for me to talk him about how I lost trust in him and asking him, why don't you feel guilty about killing these people, and trying to make him understand the difference between human and with the guilt and stuff and the shame and everything. So I was like, nah, it's not the time and place for that. So no, I don't want to talk. Let's just chant. So I grab him and I said, chant. And he said, I want to connect. I'm like, I mean, this is the difference between a human and a robot right there, right? And it was, I don't know. It felt great.
Oh, I don't know. I think it was the difference between a human on a mission and a human that's just willing to. I mean, from my standpoint, it was really kind of remarkable that like Jorn kind of had his own agenda, and certainly Tess had an agenda. As I went through the session and as I talked to the Veil, it became clearer and clearer what her agenda was. But at the end, like both those agendas got thwarted. Like and it was kind of this perfect ending to, like we were talking before you while you were walking the dogs, the whole session or the whole experiment has felt a little bit like, man, we're not quite getting it. There's something like, where it's not quite there. But then I think part of that was just that feeling of complete powerlessness. Like the world is so much bigger than these characters.
Yeah,
and it's like the metaphor I use for G is like kind of like jumping into a pond. You're doing a cannonball, and then looking around and seeing no ripples. It's like as if you weren't even there, and that's the way these characters like kind of go through their environment. Is despite the fact that they do make some immediate local difference, you don't have to go very far out to see absolutely no. Was I even really there at all? And Tess was going there with the intention of connecting with everybody and then doing something outlandish to kind of wake them up. And that got thwarted, and so there she was. I mean, literally to pull back the veil. Her intention was to jump, from link with everybody, jump and say, well, this is what the veil is going to do to you, or to your individuality, like kill herself, while linked to everybody. But instead, Jorn goes up there, makes some impassioned speech, and then the unthinkable happens to Jorn. They don't want to be unified; they want Jorn to be the Messiah, and the absolute absurdity of that moment strikes Tess with such ferocity that all she can do is start to laugh and fall apart, thinking, "This is how ridiculous is all of this? Is this what really existence really is all about?"
and definitely, but you see, my agenda actually, it might look like he had an agenda, but he didn't actually, because I started the session with the idea of, okay, so I still want to avenge Cadmus, so Cadmus don't die in vain. So it's one of my beliefs. I was like, okay, so I'm going to meet that Akhenaten guy, and I'm going to find a way to reach a higher level of preaching. So maybe I can get some powerful people to be aware of the thing that Cadmus wanted to be aware of, so I was keeping that narrative. But shit goes down. There is people in line everywhere, like zombies. The drug hits hard, so I do something to get the money, but I get the consequence of my action, so I get beat up, and then I try to get some help, and I see the people that are addicted to the V20, and they're not really unified, and everybody's crazy kind of thing. So I sit down. This is where the moment where I get the blanket. My character is like, oh man, this is the end of the world. Like, he's like, okay, now he's seeing it. He's seeing the veil in action, like starting to be incarnated into these bodies, these people with the connection. So he's losing any sense of purpose. What he needs to do. So Akhenaten say, come back here. So, and he sees these people. When he sees these familiar faces, it brings warmth to his heart. And so and they lift him up and they chant. So he's a human. So he's like, nice. Thank you for caring about me. I just got beat up. And so he got there and he sees his dream becoming reality somehow. But the more and more he's there, and then Tess arrives and kind of confirms what he's thinking. Like, oh my God, like, this is artificial. This is the veil actually faking it through these people somehow. And then he sees the child on the stage, and now, oh man, it's kind of, it's over. What is that? So I just trying to play as faithful to the character as I could,
and I'm trying to challenge that as I can.
And it's create that really absurd, a little bit like powerless, tragic situation of what it is to be human. Like, yo, I'm trying to let's bring everybody together by disconnecting, but I cannot be the messiah of that at the same time. So we create that perfect thing, and that I saw that an hour ago. When you say that to Tess, I'm like, Ivan, don't you see it that you cannot do that? If you're going on that stage trying to preach, in my head, I was waiting for Ivan to do that actually because
Right.
it was kind of like written in the sketch. I was waiting for Ivan to do that. And
Yeah, so I wasn't going to do that.
but
No.
if he was about to do that, my character would have gone mad, and I would have trying to destroy Tess in front of everybody, or
And
to
that
make
would
it.
have been an interesting ending too if we'd ended up in that kind of
Yeah,
situation.
but it would, because I would have been like, okay, so this is the veil going way too far now, utilizing what used to be a friend, and so like I'm gonna have to do something, beyond my character kind of thing, and so it would have been a Hollywoodish, a little bit boring finally, but it would have been the most interesting thing to do. Because and for me at least, I think, because it would have been confronting the character purpose and everything. But I prefer that ending way more. Makes more
So
sense.
for me, I similarly felt, but maybe for different reasons, or maybe for the same reasons. I don't know what your reasons were. As we went through the first six, like the first two or three, we don't even really know what the moves are. I mean, like we're scanning the list. Like, is there something that should I be trying to put my action in a particular way? And it's session 9. We're still doing that, but we have a broader sense of how we want to interact with the dice, and when we want to interact with the dice, and when we don't need to, and stuff. But that sense of, we're going to move through 3 MCs. So everything that I know is true as MC number 1, I want to change, right? I'm going to present it in a faithful fashion, right, as Jean-Francois, and it's all going to be internally consistent, but I'm accepting the fact that when Ivan gets in the chair, everything that I put down on that scenario sheet might be reinterpreted to have a different cause or different intention or whatever. And I think that was the part I was looking forward to the most, but it was also the challenge I was giving myself, because I wanted to go last.
Right.
So I'm getting 2 different representations of the veil, and I have to somehow synthesize them and make them seem like it's all been one story. And by the time we get to the end of session 6, it felt like, wow, we've only got 3 sessions left, and what have we accomplished? Like, in terms
Not
of
much.
traditional story structure, if a viewer, or if one of you, I'm not fond of traditional story structure. Like same old G, I get frustrated or bored. There's sometimes I walk into a movie, and by the time the opening credits are over, I know what's going to happen, and then it happens, and it's like,
Yeah,
oh.
fuck, yeah.
So I start an awful lot of movies and finish very few, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So
Yeah.
I'm not approaching this like that. But what did we actually do in terms of, rising action, and like, where are we on this scale of things? And so I liked the idea of powerlessness as a theme, but the theme that struck me, I think it was in episode 3, like your last one, G, was that it's the powerlessness that we cause ourselves.
Yeah, actually, right? Yeah.
It wasn't being held down by the outside. It was we were, every crowd scene was the herd, right? And
Right.
our characters were like the only awake ones, and some
Right.
of the people that we interacted with. But it was just like, a herd is going here, and a herd's being used by Anonymous, and a herd is being used by W, and like, what was our McDonald's equivalent? It was just this massive wall of like incredible numbers of people coming and like, give me my processed food, give me my processed food, give me my processed food. But we went to the sandwich shop,
Right.
and it was empty. So these are the things that are on my mind, right?
Yeah,
We're
I remember
making
that.
ourselves powerless. We're choosing to join the herd. Well, uh, what am I doing as Cadmus? I'm playing this character who's going to die, who's on this list, who has to make the choice or not.
And I
Right?
and I said you have 3 days, 7 days.
7 days. I'm like, oh crap. Then we got Tess, right? Tess wakes up disconnected from everything. I wanted to go back to what was the very first scene? What was our first introduction to it was an empty warehouse.
Yeah, and oh yeah, and by the way, when you mention, remember you started naked. This is the reason why I did the naked thing in the fountain. Actually, I just want yeah, that's exactly
That's
because I heard
hysterical.
that I was like, yeah, it's cool. It's like Neo in the Matrix kind of thing, and it felt like symbolic. And it's actually what happened. He got beat up, and then the drug went away, and you kind of wake up, right? Oh man, yeah, you keep going, Anthony.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
this is what I'm my train of thought. So what do I do for 7, 8, and 9? Well, 7 I'm going to use as a traditional story tool. I'm going to transition us to a new level, and then we're going to see who you guys think your characters are. And now we have a pretty good grasp on what the moves are. So what are you going to do? Right? What's going to be important to you? This is day, whatever. This
It's
is
day 9.
it's 2 weeks after
Oh yeah, you're right.
Cadmus's death,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And all traces of all of that stuff have been smoothed away, right?
yeah.
It was just a really bad storm, and there was power outages. So I had to think to myself in the background, what if they investigate, you know, and Rich is dead, and all of these people that knew the inside of the development of Tess, all these people are dead, right? And then the Veil has its period of weird, wacky shutting down in random places, and Anonymous is trying to take advantage of that. And then everything's all smoothed away. Everything's fine, like it never happened. So that was important to feed into that sense of powerlessness. Are you going to give up? Are you going to investigate that? Or, let it go? Yeah, it's all right. We did nothing. So I planted that kind of seed. And then for this one, you're separated. So I felt it was probably unlikely that we would ever come back together. And just conveniently, that's how it worked out. Like you tried to call at the beginning, but Tess is locked up with the Veil. And then she tried to call you. And I thought, oh, that's too bad she can just call him. But then you remembered that you had turned the thing off. So you're disconnected. It's like, very cool. They have to meet face to face at the end. That's a nice little thing. But all I wanted to do was pose questions in 8 and 9, was just keep throwing questions out. And that was also what the Veil was doing to all of the sheep in the
Yeah. And
in the city.
I want to say, Ivan and you, it's really interesting this last, because for me, I was in the action all the time. I was getting beat up. I was running around. I was getting the drug. I was doing the thing. You guys were in a peaceful place, abstract, and you had this deep. So me, when I was waiting, I was listening to that deep philosophical conversation, super intricate, super like it was deep. It was about like free will, asking Tess, "Are you a human? Do you feel yourself?" and stuff like that. And me, I'm like in completely another situation, and that I was feeding off that contrast. It was creating a major contrast in the narration, in the
Yeah.
narrative like experience. And so you guys did a lot of talking, and so a lot of role play, like intimate role play, not a lot of actions. So it was a really interesting situation for me because I was alone, kind of like rubbing myself against the setting, trying to, and Anthony, he was hard on me, was like, I want to get a cab. Yeah, the cab are down. Nobody is going nowhere. I'm like, fuck, man. And I'm going to think about it. I was like, at one point, I was like, Jesus Christ, man, I don't know what to do. And so, it was amazing for that, I feel, because it created for me the time to think and time to reflect on how, because I gotta be honest, as a fellow gamer, I was like, we need a good experience, like we need a good closure. I was trying to work with you guys to make something cool for for the group. So I was like, how the fuck are we gonna do that? And now, so I was starting to see where Anthony was bringing us, and I was like, now that's nice. It's really good because it was fast. You reach the stadium. You reach that place. It's amazing. It's a circle shape, and people are shouting, and there's a stage. So it's like, okay, man.
Now what are you gonna do?
Yeah, we can do something, right? And then Tess was in this abstract place. So I was like, okay, so so I just want to say, I mean, it's for you guys. It's not. I would have not. It's not an easy place you were during that session. Me, I was kind of like in the actions. It's kind of easy. It's fun. It's like, nah. But you guys were in an abstract role play situation for a long time.
Well,
So
that
I
was
want to kind of lift
cool.
my hat. I want to lift my hat to that because I could have not stand that so long.
That was fun. Well, I mean, to me, like the big part of Tess's the action for me playing that character the whole time was not the action scenes. Those were kind of, I don't want to say boring, but like she was good at, or like fictionally, even though we don't have a lot of mechanical support for it, she was good at that. That was the real like action for me playing Tess were those moments where she had conversations with people, where she tried to where questions got posed to her, where she tried to figure things out. That the funny part of tonight's session was we had this big, long, protracted time where Tess is having this conversation with her mother, for lack of a better word.
Almost an hour and a half, almost.
Yeah. It was back and forth between Jorn getting the crap beat out of him, which I have this beautiful picture in my head of him being waterboarded in the fountain and everything else. I will never forget that. It's this beautiful scene of like her sitting there tranquilly with her mother, trading, and him just absolutely getting the crap beat out of him. I can see him, Yeah. But then when Tess finally decides, she kisses, I think, what's his name, Icarus or whatever the son, kisses him goodbye. And her intention is, now I'm going to take decisive action. I'm going to link up with these people, and I'm going to do something to snap them out of it. I'm not going to let. I don't believe that what the Veil is planning is the right course of action. I need to do something dramatic, and maybe I'll have an effect.
So you were not with the Veil.
Oh no, she was.
Oh my God! All along, since you called her mother, I was like, it's over. He's going down. He's taking the Veil side.
Listen, acknowledging somebody.
No, he hated the idea.
Yeah, acknowledging
your mother, fighting it all the way through.
Acknowledging mother is doesn't mean that you're going to go along with it. So now Tess has decided, I'm going to take decisive action. I know what I must do, and at every turn, she was thwarted by one thing and one thing only: the hand of Jorn. No, I won't connect with you. No, man, I'm going to turn my device off. Look, when I'm finally connected with a woman in the crowd, and now here's my in. I'm going to connect with everybody else. I'm going to have Todd bring me up there and do this dramatic thing. Disconnect everybody. Okay. So every time Tess decides to do something, the one person standing in her way is that goddamn 6'4" blood-covered bastard.
No, listen, it's amazing because I didn't even saw that aspect of it. I was not in that situation.
That's what made it better.
Of course. I was not. All the through the whole session, since you called her mother, I thought, metagaming as a gamer. Right. I thought that you were with the Veil, and you were agreeing with becoming the Messiah and the whole thing. And you talked to the taxi guy the same way, kind of thing. You said something like that, or the girl. I don't remember which one. So in my head, you were just trying to plug me in because I treated you like a toaster, in another session kind of thing, right? So oh my God! Even if I wanted to fake it, it was not fake. It was not fake at all. It was just. No.
That's why like it struck her just at the end, just so funny that like here's Jorn's been thwarting me at every turn, and oh my God, he did it anyway. Like he did in some way what I was attempting to do, and now he's carrying this lodestone of having to be a leader and a messiah, the one thing he does not want to be, and so she just dies laughing. She's just like, this is the most this is what the sheep are like. My God, let him have Jorn and let him.
That's one of the things that I do like about having narrative control over a scene. There's very few things that I like about it. I prefer to keep strict records of time.
Yeah.
But when you can say, okay, the moment when your conversation with the woman that you're connected to ends is the moment, right? When you can tie those things together, that can feel good.
Oh, yeah.
Because I don't
Yeah,
have a character. I don't even have
Yeah.
dice. So this
Yeah.
is how I get to play the game.
Yeah.
And this is maybe the one part of Powered by the Apocalypse that from the beginning I knew I would be able to enjoy. It's the other stuff, but it's moments like that that would keep me playing Powered by the Apocalypse games so that I could get comfortable and internalize all of the moves of whatever game I picked, so that it could move
Yeah.
along. Because I'm reacting mostly to feeling awkward. Like, well, I don't know, that could be sway, or hey, do you want to try neutralize? I hate that conversation.
I know. And
No,
and,
I'm
and
going to step back. I hate that conversation in session 9.
yeah, because the thing also, the last
Be
moment
right back,
where I
Ellis.
trying to
But go
sway, no problem. When I trying to sway the crowd, and then I choose the two thing, and it felt so artificial, like I owe the crowd something, and I was like, poor you, man. Like, what are you gonna give me? I mean,
Yeah.
what can you? So this is the problem. You see, this is the thing. For me personally, the story that emerged, the play to find out what we find out was great. I mean, honestly, like the ending is as unexpected, as anticlimactic, and as cool and nice I'm super happy with that. So I had a great like narrative storytelling experience in that sense, even role play as well. I had a great role play experience, but I don't feel like this provided it. This is
Right. I think
I
that's
don't
just
feel.
because we're clumsy with it.
Maybe, or we worked hard as fellow player to create a
Yeah.
cool experience, because I don't feel like, because we didn't engage the mechanic much. We did not engage it much, at least not in my book. I feel like we could have engaged it more, better, so, because we were learning it. But it did create it. So I have a weird feeling about this game. It's like, or Powered by the Apocalypse game, because I don't feel the system as I don't feel like it's super powerful somehow. I don't, not like Feed, for example, where it's super powerful, or a game like I don't know, man. So the Burning Wheel, for example. But this, for some reason, there's a strange gap between the actual experience that it provided for us and what it actually do. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's like
I do.
I'm looking.
I want to err on the side of it felt awkward or weak to us because we don't have it deeply rooted. It's on the page, and there's a barrier between us. So I think if we could get it in there, then it would be a more familiar dance of making of deploying the system to do a thing, rather than saying, okay, I want to do a thing, how the hell should I do that? And no one likes that should situation, right?
And but also the artificial feeling of, okay, so you just sway a crowd, so you need to do a crowd the favor, and you need or you need to give a piece of yourself to the cop. Like, remember when I chose that for the cop guys? It's like it felt weird, and it still now I'm not sure what you decided for that. It's like, what did the fact that they beat me up is what I give to them?
No, the two that helped you,
right?
Yeah, but it's not a piece of my body.
That's how it looks. But this is a metaphor. When you give a piece of yourself to someone, you let them into your life in a very
intimate way.
So Jorn swaying the crowd, he has to show them how much he's hurting emotionally, right? That they're connected artificially. He has to connect with them. Like if you had chosen that one then, right? He needs to connect with them on a human level, right? And to get them to disconnect, for example. But you chose My own obligation is in question, and I'm going to owe them a favor. So um, I interpreted the spirit of owe them a
Oh,
favor as you've got to lead us, man. Teach us
yeah,
what we need to know. If it can be better than this, I can't wait.
yeah,
And your own obligation is in question. Well, that comes out as they want you to lead, not unite.
yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And
Yeah,
One
yeah,
of
yeah, yeah, you did well, but I felt like when I mentioned them, it felt so weird, so artificial until you said your piece. But yeah,
yeah,
sure.
one of the things that struck me about that, and it's not an overt criticism necessarily, but like as you look at like the moves, like something like Sway, um, just looking at the math alone, you realize that more often than not, when you roll a move, you're going to succeed at it. So you
Just
end
say
up in
yes.
these, yeah, you end up in these very bizarre moments fictionally when in the middle of this orgiastic dance where everybody's connected electronically to each other. This guy that's bleeding and beat up can say something and actually sway the crowd. And that's okay, and that leads to some very interesting fiction. But that's if you're just having no pluses at all, you have a 58% chance of being able to do that. And so
So
all of a sudden,
that's a good point that I'm glad you raised, because this is the part of this kind of play that I enjoy, like being surprised by a situation or an event, and now I have to rule.
right,
Uh, It doesn't matter what game that's in. That situation of the thing you didn't predict. So he's going to stand up in front of literal tens of thousands of people and get their attention. If he's not successful, I can use my own disbelief to talk about why he's not successful. But if he is successful, how does that work? And so in this case,
right,
I was thinking, well, they're all connected. So why wouldn't they be connected through the mic too? So he's
right.
not swaying a crowd, he's swaying individuals.
yeah, one
Yeah,
person, but yeah,
yeah. So it,
And
requ-
I
it
thought,
requires a
wow,
lot of that.
can you imagine what that I kind of went off into a little,
No, it's
yeah,
imaginary voyage of what if it could be really like that? Like what if, mass media could
yeah.
go to that level? What horrors would we wreak on ourselves then?
yeah, definitely. So that is. I mean, that's cool the way you handle it. I mean, that's definitely a cool prompt to do things we normally wouldn't think of. I think my the thing I thought about though with that is it's going to happen in a system like this in an inordinately
A
large amount
lot.
of time. Like if a player decides they want to do something, more often than not, they're going to get that effect.
But they're in most cases with Sway, they're also going to owe somebody something.
Right, they're gonna know somebody. So, I mean, I think the thing to me at the end of the day, with any like system of moves in a PBTA game, like even when we were just talking about a little bit before when I had to run, so you probably solved the entire problem while I wasn't here. You have to write these moves so well that it's obvious which one you're going to take, and then once somebody does something, um, it gives you enough guidance where you're not kind of wondering, oh, geez, well, which how do I interpret this question or that question? That's kind of an art form unto itself.
yeah.
Sure.
And I think that's why so many Powered by the Apocalypse game was born afterward. Like many people
And
wanted to do that and see how they can be so good at doing it.
And I mean, I would say like it was interesting. The only time we ever used a duel in this entire game wasn't physical. It was this,
Oh no, we did
that,
do a physical duel. We did one when he kicked the barman ass
The
in.
murder.
okay, that was
Yeah.
a duel. That wasn't
Yeah,
just a okay.
it
That
was
was
a
a duel.
murder.
Okay, so I take it back. But
Mm.
the only other duel, because
Yeah.
I remember when Test just did a neutralize move on those
And
guys
you
way
I
back
think
when.
you poorly chose your you poorly choose your hold, because I with my only hold I managed to escape.
Well, here's what I was thinking
She
about in
didn't want to
terms of
hurt
like
you.
a well designed move. Like essentially,
Yeah,
my choices were I can inflict harm,
just to
which
hurt.
was which wasn't my intent. Um, I could block harm, which or I could like neutralize, deflect all harm. So I figured, okay, I don't want to get hurt at all. So my other choice is force of change of location. You know, now still,
Let's
well, let me
go
finish. Let me
ahead.
finish the example. Still.
Yeah.
So here I've like pretty much in a duel, I rolled as well as I possibly could. So I can essentially um, I've won. I can't roll any higher in that case. But if you're a creative player and you're aggressive, as we found in this example, the loser can actually win. It's not it's not just up to the dice rolls. It's so I mean, so
Yeah,
initially, in other words,
duel is set up like a fight.
right,
if you're in a knife fight, you're going to get cut, kind of theory, right?
right.
So,
But the one thing that Tess wanted to do, which was like kind of force that change of location to get inside your head, you're able to subvert by forcing, neutralizing that by forcing a change of location yourself.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of interesting that in
But
that move, it's
but how could have been how could have we do it differently? You know what I'm saying? Like how could have we do that differently? If I'm looking at the other moves, like like two moves that goes in. So for example, you try to neutralize, you roll, and and I do something else, and then both at the same time we get the result and we role play that afterward.
I don't know. That's it's interesting because generally you don't get to. That's the only part where two
well,
people are
I
actually
mean,
interacting.
duel was written for violence, and
Right.
we
Yeah.
in the moment applied it to
Yeah.
like a
Yeah.
duel of wits or a
Yeah.
whatever. So
But it was
we ended up
violent.
with this situation where the loser of the moment, right, the person who's on the bottom still gets one hold. They automatically get one hold regardless.
All right.
So I would have to be flexible and say, so Tess wants to move you up into the digital meeting room, and you say, no, I don't want to go there. That's one hold, right? And so that cancels each other out. But she's got three, so I could let her spend it again, or she's more powerful.
Right.
That's kind of boring from one roll, and like, well, why did I even bother to play? So I didn't want to suggest that at that point. And you spent your hold as a change of physical location. Now, again, I could have left her in your head.
Yeah.
But I had narrated it that
Right.
when she touched forehead to forehead is when she had the sense that I've got other equipment in here which might let me bond with people.
Yeah.
So that separation, I said, yeah, I like that. So we'll just go. So now the duel's over. The hold is gone, whatever. And
Yeah, I understand. It was a tough. This one was a tough situation.
Oh yeah, I'm not.
And really frustrating for Ivan because he rolled super well and he doesn't manage to get what he wants. And I fail and I kind of managed to get what I want. So
but he did learn that he could do it.
Right.
Yeah, which is a kind of like a bonus thing. Yeah. Maybe just by touching my hand, for example. Maybe he could have, tried to say, "Oh, I'm gonna try to grab his arm," and then
right. If he wanted to continue with Yorm, that was the weird thing for me. Was like how quickly, it's like, oh, forget that Yorn guy.
Yeah, he turned around and said, "Hey, I want to connect with you." Boom, right away.
That was interesting for me.
Yeah, she was at that point. She was just looking for a vector, like, and especially that moment where like, just in the fiction at that moment of like, you know what? Okay, I'll just. Yorn reached out to me, and it's dual purpose at this point. Yeah, he's my vector in, and also, okay, we've had some history, and she gets, in her mind, just completely rejected by Yorn, like one more time, that slap in the face, and she's like, the hell with him.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I've got to go, but I've got one question for you both. Do you think that these characters would mend fences in the future?
What do you mean, mend fences?
Well, right now they're not friends.
Yeah.
Do you think they would ever restore their relationship?
Well, we're not gonna play them again, so they.
Yeah, it's just my opinion of,
or
okay. Your opinion about if they would. Or
not. It's possible. It depends. It depends on the conversation because Yorn just want to say to Tess, it's like, it's not that I hate you because you're a robot. It's not that I don't want to be your friend anymore. He wanted to say to her that if she could have answered that, I cannot trust you anymore. You don't remember what you did, and you don't feel like having guilt, and you killed a lot of people. So it's like I kind of have a disconnection there. And and then I wanted to go into a monologue somehow, like saying, one thing that makes us human is that it's trust. And the trust is the idea that I know you can have guilt like me if you do wrong. Therefore, I trust you to do good, because it's painful to feel guilty and feel bad about ourselves when we do bad. So I kind of can trust you to try to do good. And now I'm not in that. I cannot be in that place, with you now. So I wanted to have that conversation with Tess early in the game, in the session, to be able to connect and get friendly again somehow. So I personally, I would say yes. I'm open to have that conversation with
Okay,
Tess.
Ivan.
I just have this picture of Tess going off, not into the sunset, but of, grabbing young Todd. And saying, let's. I said, and saying,
Woohoo!
Let's go to the bell. Let's go to the bell.
It's like, let's see what else is out there. But I have this picture of her watching from afar, Yorn's not escapades, but this reluctant messiah, and at some point probably contacting him, just to see how he's doing, probably not in person, although maybe in person, but just,
that's really robot-like.
But just to see, just to see how he's doing, I'm picturing this. I'm picturing this guy with the weight of the world on his shoulders and this cult that he did not want surrounding him, and maybe Tess coming actually in person, coming and smoking one of those Chesterfields, just like, look at what you've created, Yorn. My God. I just kind of gloating a little bit, she'd like to see him again. But I don't know about mending the fence, mending the relationship. I think just to see, my God, what have you done?
So I think I'm gonna post my reflection video right away, and then I'm gonna sleep on it and post my review of the Veil later on, maybe in a couple of days. But yeah,
I really gotta run, so I'm gonna have to sign out. I'll put this up as soon as I can. And thanks, guys, for going through the experiment.
Yeah, thank you, guys. Thank you very much. It was my idea, and I appreciate it.
I'm glad that you enjoyed the anticlimax and the ambiguity.
Yeah, it was perfect. It was perfect.
Of the last 3 sessions, and thanks for letting me do that. And I'll talk to you all soon.
All right. Thank you very much.
And it's done.